Chapter 2. The Trial. Ahsoka's dark eyes scanned the darkness surrounding her. She was in a strange, empty space like a huge wicker box shrouded off by darkness. Only her hot pink eyes were visible in the blank, empty space. Her eyes were fixed on the dark room's corners. She felt the space shrink around her, till all she could feel was the dark presence of emptiness and the cold expanse closing in on her claws. Normally, she didn't mind the cold. This was unlike anything she'd ever experienced. Tears welled up from the corners of her eyes and solidified into ice, much like the icicles that emerged from her vast home's subterranean rivers. Her scales twisted into the shadows like electricity, and all she could feel now was anguish. This isn't a dream, but it's not real. Suddenly something cold and wet began to drip from her claws. She froze, and her heart began racing like 1,000 raging buffalo. Suddenly it dawned on her. It was blood. She screamed, and then raised her wings. Why did she have wings? They're not mine, she shouted, but no one responded. Only blank, empty darkness. She ran and ran, but she could feel the shadows pin her down through the void of transversal. Her claws felt heavier and heavier with each and every bound. She stopped and began to rasp. When she slept, it was darkness. Nothing like this. Sometimes memories. Small and soft like embers of a dying flame, but never total darkness like this was. The ancient dragons from scrolls of legend, they used to dream of magic and impossible wonders, dreams. But this was different. And suddenly, red blood claws wrapped around her snout, quick and cold, and agonizingly terrifying. They ripped her free from her dream, in which she awoke with a start, gasping and rasping for breath. Ahsoka leaned up and glared at her normal, dull, regular, non-blood-covered claws. Her eyes opened slowly and closed slowly over a matter of minutes, and she felt her heart race as if 1,000 caterpillars cascaded through her stomach all at once. Ahsoka! Ahsoka! Wake up! You were screaming in your sleep. A tall, gray-green blacktail was standing nearly a tail length away from Ahsoka. What? Huh? She sat up, clutching her forehead with her talons. Her amber-orange scales were pale from her slumber. You were screaming in your sleep, Kapranik said, looking rather out of place. His curious green pupils were scanning the room like he was mapping out everything in it. Thanks for waking me up, Kapranik. Was it a dream? The glistening green dragon asked, furrowing his brows to the soft orange jewel light shone on his blood-red markings, reminding her of the strange liquid that delicated her claws from the dream. No, it was something far, far worse. It was a nightmare, he said, cutting her off. Wasn't it? Kapranik said with that sassy, don't lie to me, you know I'll bug you until I find out eventually, kind of face. Kapranik's jaw was clenched, like it always was when he was concerned or stressed. He extended his short and stubby talons, giving her a chance to leave her bedding, although his front talons were locked with hers, of course. Yeah, she finally admitted. Ahsoka's eyes went wide and she scooted away from him, smacking his snout with her tail. She suddenly circled the room looking for a rootworm watch. Kapranik watched her eerily, his brows furrowed like a haughty pig. It's today, isn't it? Oh, 3 moons. I can't miss it. Come on, you stewed, she had shouted, giving his side a jab with her claw. She was now rushing to the doorway, waiting on the luminous green dragon. She pondered. She, of course, didn't mean to be rude, calling him a stewed, seeing as the immature protege of her father was about 9 times smarter than any dragon that she knew in the Crystal Kingdom. But to have a real live-action nightmare, and then discussing it on her father's own trial was absolutely out of the question. For a bleak moment, she wondered if, back then, she would have listened to the warnings she perceived from those nights she had of safety when her claws were still of the tribe. Hey! Kapranik yelped. We have no time! We cannot miss this! Come on! Or don't. She started and bolted off into the distance. What? We can't do that! It's against all the rules! The young skull creep cried. I won't follow a dragon like him. He wants my support, then he has to earn it. But he's the king. Not my king, Ahsoka snapped. Anyone who'd kill a dragon for reading is a tyrant in my eyes. But, Copernic yearned, wincing down at his talons as if he was summing up both pros and cons of the existence of the conversation. Ahsoka froze to the sound of faint claw clicks, which came delegating their way into Asuka's head. They were heavy and seemingly sinister. Her head whipped around, and to her surprise, it was a dark blue dragon that entered the cave. It smiled warmly down at the two unsuspecting blacktails, suspiciously. Copernic scrambled to Ahsoka's side, probably doing his best to look menacing to the lumbering warrior dragon, its red, gleaming eyes glaring at the young blacktail despite only being around a year apart of age. Copernic was a rather protective little dragon, but they were raised together like a family, so Ahsoka unfortunately would have to explain the whole story of Kinosar's trial. Copernic's chin went high in the air, eyeing the warrior wing, in what was beginning to seem like a standoff. Ahsoka soon interjected, pushing the two apart. "Copernic, hey!" she exasperated, patting the small blacktail's head. "Meet a little friend of mine, Prince Forge. Copernic, meet His Majesty, Prince Forge."
Hi everyone, that was the next chapter of Siege of Tyranny. I hoped you loved it because I know I did. It was so much fun writing, and I know it took quite a while to get this out, but don't worry, the next one will not take this long, I promise. With that, I'd like to announce that we have our very own Discord server where you can communicate with your friends and other fans along of the Siege of Tyranny series, and you can submit fan art, which will be presented before every episode. You can hang out in the voice chats and do pretty much whatever you want as long as you don't break the rules. Thank you guys for watching this video. Leave a like, a comment. Please let me know what you thought of the series. I am a killer for the comments. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!